Good morning everyone and welcome back to game day 2 of game week 1 in the 2025-26 Slater and Gordon Championship. It was a fantastic opening day here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre, full of goals, drama, quality right across the board. Let's go through the squads quickly before I just go through the action. Starting with the designated home squad for this one, being West Bromwich Albion Baggies. They have number 1 Amy Sherman, number 7 Noah Stevenson-Lee, number 8 Lewis Marshall, number 11 Jack Gorder, number 12 Sam Swingler, number 28 Noah Harvey, and number 33 Jack Westmoreland. And a very thin squad for Villa Rockets Lions. Just Stephen Tyler, Naglis Montvillas, Kian Collins and Sam Turner at their disposal. So if they're going to figure out a way to unpick this Baggies squad, it's going to be with those 4 players present. We get the thumbs up from either goalkeeper. Paul Yates, our central referee, and he kicks proceedings off. The opening game of the day on Sunday's round of fixtures in the 2025-26 Slater and Gordon Championship game week 1. Noah Stevenson-Lee combining with Noah Harvey. Beautiful pass out to Jack Gorder. Marking his debut yesterday, Noah Stevenson-Lee. 2 goals in as many games. He's truly announced himself on the National League stage and already imparting his quality and influence just 30 seconds in. As Kian Collins forces it up to Lewis Marshall, who's engaged in his first action. And now a potential breakaway. I'm now delighted to be joined on commentary, better late than never, than Mr. Greg Baxter. How are you?
I think you'll find the term is perfect timing, Ryan.
I wouldn't call it perfect timing, Greg.
No, I wouldn't at all. Good morning. It's good to be back. Ed to you. Missed it. Just coming in the venue, you feel the vibes, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was fantastic, and I think a lot of people are feeding off that. A lot of unpredictability, a lot of narratives and storylines, which is playing into that atmosphere. Did you manage to catch any of the action yesterday?
No, I didn't, unfortunately. Very, very busy down south.
Well, it's good to have you here for Sunday's round of fixtures. I mean, in terms of assessing yesterday in a nutshell, Norwich and Nottinghamshire, the clear standouts. A fantastic day for both. Maximum points. 2 wins from 2 for Nottinghamshire following their relegation from the Premiership. 11 goals scored, so already they've amassed a significant goal difference. Norwich, almost out of nowhere, exceeding expectations, 3 wins from as many games. Nottinghamshire are currently live against Altrincham on Court A. Should they come away with the win from that one, the next game up on Court A, B, I believe, is Nottinghamshire versus Norwich, as Villa find the breakthrough, just pushing West Bromwich Albion Baggies into a really uncomfortable area, and they'll be disappointed with that. It's almost a ricochet off of Naglis Montvillas that seemed to bypass Lewis Marshall.
Good start for Villa. Nice to have a bit of a derby game, first game Sunday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of those players were excited to start Sunday with this matchup, and you have to say it's a great opener for Villa Rockets Lions. It was a mixed day for them. They had some varied results, but they ended strongly. So they're bringing momentum into this fixture. It's just that defeat to Norwich sees them lose a little bit of ground on the teams above them.
Oh, that's so cheeky from Naglismon Vilas. Look at the smile on his face, little dummy at the near post, and just slots it in. We saw that in abundance in Italy, Ryan. That was very, very cheeky.
It's almost a trademark to his game. We saw him do it a few times last season. He's off the mark in terms of those deceptive dummy finishes here, and 2 goals in pretty much in as many minutes sees Naglismon Vilas almost single-handedly put this game very much in the favour of Villa. I did highlight him as a real player to watch, and if he was able to maintain the levels we saw in 24-25 across the entirety of this season, he will be right up there in terms of goals scored, goal creation, and even dragging Villa into that promotion conversation. I know following game week 1 they're going to have a far more bolstered squad than what you see here currently. Tanvir Hussain has had difficulties this morning in getting to the venue, so they're hoping he will be present, if not for the second half, then certainly their second game of the day. But then they've got the likes of Mason Hindley and Ellie Brown to introduce to the action, so if they can come out of game week 1 with favourable points, irrelevant of squad selection headaches, they'll be really good value across the entirety of the season.
Absolutely, definitely a squad to watch. Vilas wouldn't look out of place in any of the Premiership sides.
He could have very easily got himself a Premiership move. Of that I had no question. He's not just one of the standout players in the country in terms of the English National League. From what we saw in the FA Nations Cup, whilst it didn't necessarily go his way, it's clear that he's a top player on the continent as well. As Kean Collins into the side of Noah Harvey.
Didn't quite get the angle right on that one. Was always, the way he spun round was always going to hit the wall on the outside.
In their games yesterday, Villa opened with a 2-0 win over Altrincham before that narrow 2-1 defeat to Norwich City. Then they capped it off with a 2-1 victory over Manchester United. Their second game of the day is GBG Saracen, so if you're looking at a potential 12-point accumulation from 15 with these player issues, I'm sure if you're Brad Bates, you're absolutely delighted. They're going to have to maintain concentration here. One thing Baggies have at their disposal is a strong bench. They're looking to switch things up tactically. And Nottinghamshire have stormed to a fairly comprehensive scoreline on Court A already, 2-0 to them. So that matchup with Norwich later today, ridiculously, almost feels like a 6-pointer at the top of the standings already. Naglismon Vilas feints to engage it in the 180. Noah Stevenson Lee. It's a real baptism of fire for his National League career, coming up against one of the best in the division. We saw that when he faced off against Liam Chadwick of Leeds Dynamos yesterday. Collins, nice switch of play to Naglismon Vilas, who can't quite get the connection to trouble, and now a ricochet off of Noah Stevenson Lee is going to be followed up by Noah Harvey. They're just so penned in, West Bromwich Albion Baggies.
Yeah, can't really break out of their own half at the minute. Good advantage with 2-on-1 there. Got Montvillas in the middle. Just battling away down the sideline.
Good work from Noah Stevenson-Lee. Keane Collins needs to be a little bit quicker, vacating the space. Likewise now, needs to be careful. He's just, that lack of concentration, first in the top left-hand corner as you view it, then in the centre. It's hard to read the trajectory of Naglis Montvillas's advancements and runs, but I think Keane Collins could have done better there.
Yeah, needs to go more into the corner, because then that would have got him out of the way of the second one, which is ultimately given for the free kick. Harvey straight at Montvillas, who clears.
Montvillas, 180, fires it towards goal, slightly forced. So we'd like to have seen that angled out to Sam Turner. Jack Gorder caught in two minds there, and that hesitation just meant that Naglis was able to capitalise. Substitute signalled by Alan Murray on the far side, so Jack Westmoreland looks like he's going to feature for the first time. I wonder whether he'll switch positions with Noah Stevenson-Lee. Them two, we've seen both of them rotate between central and wide areas. I think Dave Lewis is still trying to figure out their best positions.
Yeah, Montvillas, he's just dictating everything for Villa at the minute. They need to see if they can get a way back into this game. A little bit of tempo, a little bit of momentum. Another 2-on-1 there. Collins and Montvillas.
Paul Yates does have his hand in his pocket, so we'll go to his book.
Too many 2-on-1s, I think, is what he's warned him.
Potentially. I mean, it's early in the game for that to be the case, and off the top of my head it's only 2 or 3. I don't know if there's an accumulation that you need to reach in order to see yellow.
I did hear him say it was his final warning. Said I've given him his final warning, so he needs to be quicker and getting out of the way. It's not often that you see a yellow card for the accumulation of 2-on-1s.
No, certainly in the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Yeah.
Noah Stevenson-Lee down to Jack Westmoreland, just tries to swipe it down to Noah Harvey, and they've left a huge gap. It's a nice pick off from Montvillas. Noah Stevenson-Lee has to close the space of Sam Turner. You would say that if you're the likes of Baggies or their later opposition, GVG Saracens, if there is ever a chance to get a favourable result over Villa, it's when they're plagued with selection issues. Montvillas just peppers a collection of shots into the side of the Baggies defence.
Game of pinball. This time wins a corner. Doesn't matter how hard you hit the ball, it's not going to go through all the chairs.
12 minutes played. Baggies 0, Villa Lions 2. 2 goals in the opening 4 minutes for Naglis Montvillas. Keane Collins has responsibility of the resulting corner kick. Just going to adjust the defence to ensure 5-metre distance from Noah Stevenson-Lee.
No prizes for guessing where this one's going.
No, Naglis Montvillas is the target. I suspect Sam Turner will act as the screen. He's going to need the accuracy and the power from Collins. That's why Noah Harvey's just trying to limit that angle. Does well, Noah Harvey there. Don't understate the role he played in just preventing the full rotation, and now potential break on. Baggies committing players forward.
Yeah, really good positioning from Harvey. Just made sure that Montvillas didn't have room to spin. The ball didn't have quite the pace and accuracy that Collins would have liked initially.
Also, I don't disagree. I think Noah Harvey should have let that roll out of play and set from the dead ball. Stevenson-Lee wasn't necessarily set to capitalise. There's a I'd like to see Jack Westmoreland presenting one of those gaps. He was right behind Sam Turner there, so there's no way Noah Stevenson could ever have located him, as Lewis Marshall now out of his box for the first time, flicks it back to Kean Collins, and now potential break on it, swipe towards goal from Collins. No real trouble for Noah Stevenson Lee.
There was no urgency from Marshall to get back there once he flicked the ball back to Collins. And there was a real gap there. Would have liked to have seen Westmoreland leave the ball from that initial kicking on the far side. I would have liked to have seen him leave it, because it would have been their ball. Baggies could have let it go out and used another set piece a little bit further up the court. Montvillas with this free kick for Villa.
Sam Turner in a lot of space in that top right-hand corner, but well read by Noah Stevenson Lee. Noah Harvey's going to capitalise on a favourable deflection off of Sam Turner to try and keep it in play. Just hasn't seemed to work for Dave Lewis's side so far. Just missing that cutting edge. Stephen Tyler gets a rare touch. There is a gap, but it needs far more power and accuracy than that. I always question when there's set pieces like that, knowing you need the power to find the gaps, but they never really shape to engage it with that much power. So it's only ever going to get locked up by the defensive wall. And if you're not going to ensure the power, it's almost no point. That's better. Jack Westmoreland has a sight at goal. That's what I'm talking about. Really put some effort into it in locating those gaps. Because even if it isn't able to find a way through, it's likely, assuming the power is generated, to ricochet back to you anyway, off of one of the defensive players.
That was better from Baggies. First real sight of goal they've had in this first half. Just tried to hit it back across Montvillas. Possibly could have gone further near post, but hindsight is always 20/20. 4 minutes left. They're still with that 2-goal advantage. Collins across. Turner.
Yeah, just wasn't necessarily shaped. He was going to the right of goal, whereas he needed to be coming from the right to the left. But a good opportunity nonetheless, because Baggies have settled into this, relatively speaking, compared to the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Another dummy from Montvillas.
It's just a trademark of his game, isn't it? For club and country. And now he's looking for a first half hat-trick. Would do well to break that organisation of Marshall and Stevenson Lee.
Marshall does well to bring it away. Stevenson Lee's just got to be careful. When Marshall comes flying out the box, he's got to reverse out the way so he doesn't give away a 2-on-1. That's what Dave Lewis is just saying to him there.
Magnus Montvillas into Kean Collins, just controls it, dribbles it out to this left-hand wing.
Montvillas was always set to...
He just read it, didn't he? It was always going one way. We could see that as commentators. Montvillas could see that as the central player. And that's something that you would challenge Noah Stevenson Lee to do, is just be a little bit more unpredictable.
Well, that's not the unpredictability for me, it's the decision making. Montvillas had moved very early to sit to that left-hand side.
Would you engage in the dribble back out to this top left-hand corner of Baggies?
Yeah, maybe fake the flick and then just drive into the right-hand corner. If he's giving you the space in the far side, take the space rather than turning straight into the player that's there, Montvillas.
Kean Collins needs to be careful of that placement. Surely a 2-on-1 again in Baggies' favour. Yeah, you can understand it of Paul Yates. Cian Collins just needs to be, because of how busy Montvillas is, Collins cannot switch off for a second, and you'd rather he drop off into a more defensive position than be locked in one of those wide areas. We've seen Collins receive yellow due to the prevalence of 2-on-1 infringements. He has to be careful.
Yeah, the last thing they'll want is to lose a player when they don't have any, at the minute, don't have any players available to rely on for their second game later on.
No, I did know there was some sort of hope that Tanvir Hussain would be available for the second half if he could get to the Lee Westwood Sports Centre in time and speed test, but we are now a minute away from the break and there's no sign of Hussain, so Cian Collins really has to manage his positioning in this fixture.
It's another yellow card in this.
Yeah, Noah Stevenson-Lee was warned earlier, so Paul Yates is being consistent with the encroachment, with the positional discipline. And I think they're just explaining that on the far side. There's a lot of emotions in this Baggies squad. Something that Dave Lewis is going to have to manage. They're very inexperienced when you're referencing the likes of Noah Stevenson-Lee and Sam Swingler, who also marked his debut yesterday. Both also off the mark in terms of goals scored. So it's fantastic to see. I think we had nine debutants across the opening day of the 25-26 Slater Gordon Championship, 5 of which scored goals, which is really encouraging.
No better way to start your National League career.
Half-time on Court A. Nottinghamshire are going to make it 3 wins from 3 unless Altrincham can really reverse the momentum there.
Couple of minutes added on at the end of this one.
As you can see from that table, Nottinghamshire, Villa Rockets Lions and Norwich all on 9 points apiece. Considering these results, Villa have played a game more than the 2 either side of them, so they'll almost be hoping for a stalemate, a draw between the 2 when they meet later today.
Yeah, it was a free kick to Villa Rockets Lions that Baggies took instead. I was confused for a second.
So we are now a minute and a half over the regulation time. You would suspect maybe a minute more will be added due to that stoppage.
Yeah, at least.
And Naglis Montvillas into Sam Turner, guides it goal bound, blocked by Noah Stevenson-Lee. The follow-up effort from Montvillas. Lewis Marshall just trying to push Cian Collins out of the danger area. Collins. Whistle is in the mouth of Paul Yates. And he blows for half-time. A brilliant start for Villa Rockets Lions. Naglis Montvillas to have 2 beautiful goals, seeing them command a 2-0 scoreline. But following that, Baggies did grow in their organisation, their attacking intent. But there's a lot of question marks as to how they're going to properly break down this Villa Rockets Lions side, who are yet to really be tested. Thank you all that are tuning in to myself and Greg. Will be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to the soon-to-be second half in this Sunday opener in the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Championship between West Bromwich Albion Baggies and Villa Rocket Lions. You join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside Greg Baxter for the action live. And it looks as if there's been some significant switch-ups in the Baggies squad in that half-time break, desperately trying to figure out a way back into this. We'll go through those changes in just a second, but we're back underway. Naglis Montvillas, with a brace in the first 20, kicks things off. So when we're assessing the squads, Lewis Marshall's come off, in comes Amy Sherman between the sticks. It looks as if Jack Westmoreland will operate in the centre with wingers of Sam Swingler and Noah Harvey. I think that was encroachment from Sam Swingler. And what we saw within that first half is Paul Yates doesn't need to give many warnings before he looks to that book, as he just marks out 5 metres now. Just tells Sam Swingler no encroachment on that imaginary line. Into Cian Collins, 180. Strange engagement that from Sam Turner.
It's a great ball. Great, well-worked set piece. And yeah, it's confusing, the engagement from Sam Turner.
Noah Harvey doesn't quite get the contact. Out to Sam Swingler.
That was the opportunity. Naglis had missed the ball and was out of position.
And that's what I said on commentary yesterday, and I will reiterate now. The success against Villa Rockets Lions, when Naglis is operating in the centre, will come when you can isolate him. You can bypass him and create the overloads beyond him, because he is so effective in the dribble. And Sam Swingler is going to be warned again here. Surely any further infringements, he will see yellow. He's a very animated player, shows a lot of emotions, and something I said on commentary yesterday, he needs a little bit more of a poker face, because if we can read that as commentators, opponents can read that. As Sam Turner, again, a strange engagement, took a wide arc to meet that ball head on. It's almost more favourable to go back to Naglis Montvillas with the front bumper pick-off, because the gap was never there at goal.
Yeah, another great ball from Montvillas. The Naglis Montvillas show out the minute.
Amy Sherman reluctant to engage that ball with a clearance, and in doing so, Cian Collins just comes and regains possession, and that is a really good opportunity, slightly forced at the second opportunity from Cian Collins. That should have been Naglis Montvillas' hat-trick, and it all sadly stemmed from that lack of bravery from Amy Sherman, who I would have just liked to seen clear her lines.
Even if she's not going to clear the line, she has to, in the wall, not go too far to the near post, because she left the gap behind her. You know, Westmoreland was on the post, don't need to worry about that.
Cian Collins is primed to intercept this, as is the case. Baggies just struggling to get out of their own half.
Dave Lewis went scampering for his life there down the sideline.
Jack Westmoreland. Intercepted by Naglis Montvillas. A lovely front bumper into the path of Sam Turner. Into Cian Collins. Back out to Naglis Montvillas. Engages it in the 180, but well blocked by Amy Sherman.
And she's going through, well blocked, but getting drawn too close to that post, leaving a massive gap between her and the edge of the box.
Naglis Montvillas now. There isn't necessarily a gap. Sam Turner would have to vacate that space quickly. And it just fires off the front of his chair. I think with those absentees for Villa. Sam Turner playing in almost an unfamiliar role. I think from what I've seen across him, his time with Sale United and latterly with Villa Rockets Lions, his best position is probably in goal, as Keane Collins doesn't make contact. There's been several chances for Villa Rockets Lions, but their end product has been missing that little bit of sharpness and that clinical edge, because this scoreline could be far more comprehensive than just the two it currently is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
One thing is for certain, Naglis Montvillas is just seems to be a class above every other player on that court, as we probably suspected would be the case. That's a statement that can probably be applied to the whole division. We've said he could probably take his pick of a Premiership side, and that will no doubt mean that if he is consistent and firing, Villa will be in conversations towards the summit of the Championship standings.
Yeah, without a doubt, he could have his pick of Premiership teams, whether it be starting or coming on as an impact player. I think he'd start for most, and he'd be a brilliant rotation piece for the 3 or 4 others.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The half-time adjustments for Baggies have not quite worked, I think, as well as Dave Lewis and Pete Westmoreland would have liked. They just can't seem to get going. Stringing a couple of passes together is proving difficult at the moment.
Collins. Obviously, Keane Collins playing against his former side. Needs noting as Sam Turner much better, much more clinical. He got his angle right, his initial chair positioning right, and was able to capitalise with a really assured front bumper shot. Naglis Montvillas, creator, goal scorer, turn creator. Baggies 0, Villa Lions 3.
Yeah, brilliant finish from Sam Turner. Front bumper, back cross into that far corner. Nice move. Again, a question. I think Amy Sherman knew where the ball was going, but then instead of reversing in a straight line, reversed, but then turned, which then left the gap for Montvillas to fire it across the Turner. Just reverses in a straight line there. Cuts that ball out straight away. Got to stay side on. No, make your chair as big as possible. Montvillas, that'll be a talk. What?
Heavy contact. And Naglis Montvillas just rotates into Noah Harvey. Whilst he had better sight at goal, it was fairly reckless from the Republic of Ireland international.
I think it's fair to say you didn't have any clue that.
But unfortunately, you have to have a responsibility to know where other players are, and you can't rotate with so much power and momentum without having some sort of consideration for the players around you. So
you should have some sense of awareness, thinking, I'm over this side, there's a possibility a winger will be over there.
I mean, Naglis Montvillas scans constantly.
Yeah.
Just gives an opportunity for Brad Bates and Dave Lewis to conduct somewhat of a team talk. It looks as if Baggies are readying another change. Lewis Marshall has just been relieved of that goalkeeper jersey, but 28.5 minutes in.
Yeah, 2-on-1 was first.
Yeah, of course. But 28.5 minutes in.
Excellent refereeing.
Baggies just have no answers to this Villa Lions dilemma.
I think you've had, what, one-sided goal in this game so far. It's been all Villa Rocket Lions.
Ball fired high over Jack Westmoreland. just over 10 minutes left, Baggies, and whilst any points look unlikely, I'd just like to see them be a little bit more confident, a little bit more assured. As Noah Harvey comes off, on comes Lewis Marshall.
Out wide this time rather than in goal.
Yeah, a versatile player. We saw that yesterday. That has continued here this morning. Westmoreland into Lewis Marsh. He was very close. It's frustrating that the pace was never on the ball, so Jack Westmoreland needed to push it out into that corner with as much advancement as possible, which left Lewis Marshall with no option but to be trapped. Nice switch of play. Sam Swingler's starting position. Something I challenged from him yesterday is to be a little bit wider. He has a tendency to be narrow, to come into the central areas. If he hugs this touchline, he gives himself more time to react and adjust his chair accordingly, depending on the balls that are coming.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too narrow there. It's a great ball from Westmoreland. There's
very congested in that Villa half.
This is probably the most consistent spell of possession in the
that's without question.
Villa Rockets line half that Baggies have had.
Out to Lewis Marshall. Just missing that little bit of snap on their passes. Now Kean Collins is going to try and force it up the court.
Took a touch off Westmoreland. He should just pull further out the way. Let go of his hand, thinking it was going to roll out. Just needs to pull further out the way. We'll realize Turner, Kean Collins, back to Turner. It was a nice move from Villa.
Yeah, very much so. The combinations generating that power. Almost winced for a minute when when Kean Collins was intending on that 180 due to the close proximity of Lewis Marshall, but exciting stuff. And if this is only the first gear for Villa Lions, it's exciting what they can and will do across the season. Tanvir Hussain has just rocked up, so whether or not he was able to speed test at the half-time break and will be available selection, I don't necessarily know. He is in his strike force, however, but I suspect it will be too late for him to feature as Naglis Montvillas just tries to arc round Amy Sherman. That's very forceful from Amy Sherman, too aggressive. It's the right decision from Paul Yates. There's no appeals.
I love that from Paul Yates. First one was a little rough. Second one was definitely too rough. Yeah, first one was a little bit through the ball. Second one was on the back of the chair.
Yeah, it's right in front of us down in this commentary area. Clearance initially from Jack Westmoreland. A few feints into Sam Turner. It's just that starting position, and now a potential break with Sam Swingler into Lewis Marshall, who tries to just get a deft touch to send it to Stephen Tyler's left, the right as you view it, but he adjusts well and they weather that storm.
Tell you what, it's great goalkeeping. Has to be alert. Had not a lot to do in this game at all.
And it's maintaining concentration, which is almost the hardest thing. And he did very well, I agree.
Yep, it's set on the front bumper, so the ball into Swingler was never going to have enough pace on it.
Next up on court B is that crunch at the top. Norwich City versus Nottingham Forest. I'll be calling the action of that. Greg will be on court A with for Leeds Dynamos versus Manchester City. And if Manchester City are half as good as they were against Teesside Steel yesterday, securing a point late on, then that should be a great game.
Westmoreland has Marshall in the middle.
Yeah, it's good positional play from Marshall, but again, you have to commend the efforts of Stephen Tyler. Better.
Much better from Baggies. Finally getting the ball moving and stringing more than 2 or 3 passes together.
It all stems from those wingers using their front bumpers back to the central pairing or the alternate winger.
There's no gap here. The ball's too far down the line to get it through. This swinger's not going to be able to block off anyone.
This is where you want to see Amy Sherman present that fourth option or third option, sorry, because they're 3-0 down, and you would rather have an opportunity to get a goal or two back. Very predictably, it just fires off of Villa's chair, trapped dead by Kean Collins.
It's been better from Baggies the last few minutes. They've at least had some pressure. They've at least had some pressure on the Villa.
It was the same in the first half, that they settled in and they weathered the storms, but it's a question that I posed prior to the season taking place. It was a question that arose across the entirety of the 24-25 season. I don't think Dave Lewis knows his best team, where to play each of the respective players to suit each of the respective skill sets, and until he figures that out, games like this are always going to typically pass them by. So there's a lot of work for Pete Westmoreland and Dave Lewis, because we've seen Lewis Marshall feature in 2 or 3 of the positions, same with Jack Westmoreland and Noah Stevenson-Lee. So one thing is for certain, they have talent and they have depth, something that a lot of championship outfits would love to have, but it just hasn't clicked in this game as we tick over into 37 minutes.
Collins down the line, but it comes to Turner, to Collins at the near post. That's a really, really well-worked goal yet again by Villa. Set pieces, ball from Villas. Turner was unmarked to the far side. Somehow got the ball around the back of the wall.
Yeah.
Great front bumper across to Collins, and I thought he was going to had the time to go near post, but instead front bumpers right back across into the far post. Clinical from set pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. They just zigzagged from one end of the court to the other, splitting through the Baggies defence, and it was capitalised on brilliantly by Kean Collins. I think Jack Westmoreland could and should have done better in saving it, but take nothing away from the finish. And a very thin Villa Rockets Lions squad now commands a 4-0 lead over a bolstered Baggies squad.
That is the 3rd dummy Monvillas has pulled off in this game.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that to be a drinking game, would you? Monvillas.
Or you would, depending on.
Very
depending
good.
If you want the
very
drink.
Good point. Sam Turner has no problem just locking this up in this bottom left-hand corner. But I will say, Naglismont Villas just dictate everything. And whilst that was the first of Villa's 4 goals that he wasn't either a scorer or creator of directly, he was instrumental. That initial ball out to Sam Turner, nice combinations with Kean Collins. He has hit the ground running, looking to right the wrongs of the EPFA Nations Cup. Give me your player of the match, please, Greg. I teed you up.
I don't know. Possibly Naglismont Villas. Scored 2, assisted 1, ran the show metaphorically, of course. You know, it's anyone else, and I'd be called crazy.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Kean Collins has had a good game. Sam Turner has improved across the 40-minute fixture. Just would want him to be very considerate of those starting positions and angles to capitalise on what will be a flurry of service across the season from the likes of Naglis Montvillas. But an assured performance, and that caps Villa making it 3 wins from 4 ahead of a match-up with GBG Saracens later today. They look well on course to secure 4 wins from 5. And that is not a bad return considering some of their really tough opponents in game week 1.
And considering the lack of depth
of course. Of course, it's a scary prospect almost to think that once you introduce Mason Hindley to this, one of the division's leading players, and that shifts Naglis back out wide. Ellie Brown will mark her debut. A fantastic performance from Villa. Just Baggies had no answers despite switching and changing and altering. And you have to say they are very good value for it.
Absolutely. 4-0. I don't think it doesn't flatter them in the slightest. They were by far the most dominant team, controlled possession, territory for large swathes of that, never really threatened at the back by Baggies. So, yeah, comfortable victory, and set them up nicely for their final game later on.
As you can see, live league standings, that does put Villa onto 9 points from their 4 games. Of course, the 2 teams around them in Nottinghamshire and Norwich, also with the same accumulation with a game fewer played, but they meet each other next up on Court B for Baggies. Just 3 points from their opening 3 games. They'll be looking to gain some more momentum in the remaining fixtures of the weekend. Thank you to all that have tuned in, to myself and Greg. Next up on Court B, Norwich City versus Nottingham Forest.